There is no failure. It's just a stepping stone in the next version of Connie.
I like to always say there's success or lessons. Either you're winning or you're learning. That's the two options.
Introducing The Vixen Voice, a podcast for ambitious women entrepreneurs ready to move into their feminine essence, live their truth, and unlock their full potential. I'm your host, April Roberts, and each week I'll be interviewing inspiring women who decided to take a leap of faith to pursue their dream. Women who believe that they were born for something bigger. Hey there, just popping in quickly. It's April Roberts, and I wanted to thank you for being a loyal listener of The Vixen Voice. It means so much to me. And because of that, we're going to be popping in these little announcements because I want you to be the first to know what's going on at the Vixen Gathering. So if you haven't done so yet, click the link below and check out the Vixen Founders Collective. The members who are already in are raving, and we would love to have you join us in the ultimate business consulting, networking, and personal growth community for Gen X female founders. See you there. Hi, and welcome back to another episode of The Vixen Voice. Today is going to be fun. We have my friend Conny Twomey with us. Conny is passionate about helping her clients create unique offers that they can't stop talking about. How fun is that? Usually an offer is the bane of your existence. Also, I love this, helps them set up lean systems to maximize profits and create a wealth consciousness that stands out. She's a full-time mom and an online earner. She left a corporate career just like most of us and wanted a lifestyle that fit in better with her family and how she wanted to live. So I'm going to save the rest for conversations of Connie to share with you herself.
Thank you, April. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. I think you and I just met on Instagram because we were admiring each other's content, like literally.
Yep. I tried to figure that out too, and I honestly couldn't pinpoint a specific event. It was just like, oh, look at her. Look, if there's something we can do together. And I don't know if you said it or if I said it. At some point, I was just like, let's just see.
Yeah, I love it. And I share that because it's so funny. I spoke at an event yesterday and my best friend was the event planner for it. And of course, everybody is like, how do you know, Sarah? And 15 years ago, we met on an elevator in a building that we worked in, right? And I don't know, we just saw each other and we're like, we need to hang out. Like, we just knew. And 15 years later, we're basically like family to each other, right? And then my other friend was like, we need to share these friendship love stories. Like, everyone talks about romantic love stories, but let's share the friendship ones. And I love pointing out, like, so many people are scared to DM or connect on social media. And, my rule is if I'm attracted to you, I want to talk to you. Like, we're attracted to our friends, we're attracted to business partners, we're attracted to clients, just like a romantic relationship. So, like, why not honor that?
I know. But I think that is honestly a next level thinking already, because I feel like in the, bottom, there's all the, oh, she does this, she does that, he does this, he's competing with me. And there's so much anger, frustration, like you can feel that there's a disconnect already. And what I have found is the longer I'm doing this, the more people I connect with, more people I support, they support me. Like at the top, it's all like, hey, let me be on your podcast. Let me be on your summit. Let me do this with you. Let me collaborate here. And it's all like, we're all rising up together. And I love that. And it's one of the most fun and energizing things, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, I used to tell my team at my financial company, like my whole team, I was like, look, I want us to be immensely successful because my dream is to be surrounded by a bunch of good-hearted people who are millionaires. So, like, I literally want us all to be millionaires. It's not necessarily about the money, although earning money is fun, let's not lie. And it's also a good energy marker of how well you're doing. Some people measure that. But it just takes away so many worries and concerns and frees you up to be the person and live the life you want.
Absolutely. Beautifully said, because I think it allows you to have that, lean back, relax, just breathe. Because I always say money is there to support me. When I invested somewhere, I know it's coming back. I love donating. And this is something that I realized over the last 3 years. I'm from Germany. That's first of all where the accent is from. And I came to the States in 2010, did my PhD in Colorado. But back then, I came from Germany. And I had an annual salary as a PhD student of $14,000 annual.
Oh my
And
gosh,
so,
yes.
that is hard to even survive on, but I did it. But I remembered even back then, I would donate. And it was just so natural for me to just say, hey, yes, I don't have a lot, but I still want to donate to a cause that's important to me. I can still help others. And I think if you keep that up as you move forward, you're giving from an open heart, you're giving and you're receiving. And I know that it's always coming back to me. Will there be times when maybe there's more, other times there's less? Sure. But do I also have the mindset and the capacity to live through that and not get into that anxiety rat race of like, oh, I don't have, I need to hold on to it so tight. Like, no, I could just, it will come back.
Yeah, and I love you talked about giving and receiving. So I know your client base is similar to mine, but I don't think you work exclusively with women like I do.
No, I don't. I have actually recently I have more men. I don't know why, but it's okay.
Well, it's funny you say that because the audience on YouTube is majority men for this show, which is interesting. And yesterday I gave a speech to the American Marketing Association here in Houston. And at the end, they had me reserve time for questions. 70% of the questions came from men. And afterwards, like a ton of men came up, like, wow, that was great. You shared. Can I ask you questions on this? It was interesting. But God has directed me to work with women. That's my mission. So I'm sticking with it. But it's great because what I found is when you cater things to women, I found this when I was a financial advisor too, men like it too. They don't want to admit that they like the deeper connection and the little more touchy-feely, but when they experience it, there's something that happens that opens them up.
I think, and I don't know how much you talk about this typically, but it's like the masculine and the feminine energy. And once I learned more about that, because most people just think that have never heard of this, they're like, oh, masculine, that's from guys, feminine, it's women. But no, we both have both. And so, like, the masculine is the do, more, harder. It's like I always say the Grant Cardone, the 10X, like, wake up at 4, work till 11, do more, do it harder. But the feminine is the trusting. And at some point, I mean, if you do, you will burn out. You will feel like crap at some point. With the feminine energy, it's the trusting of like, it will happen. I know that it's happening. I can see myself in the future. It's there for me. It's available for me. And I think that's just as much there for men as it is for women. And I think once men realize that, they're like, oh, I can trust too. I can just trust in the process and trust myself. And then it's a whole different ballpark of like, tell me more about it. And I think that's where men are catching on. They're like, ooh, like I don't have to work like crazy 80-hour weeks. I can just do it with the right purpose, the right intention, and the right energy behind it. And I will still get there and maybe even faster.
Yeah, I have so much to say about what you just said. First thing coming up is I think it was like 2019. It was pre-pandemic, so pre-2020. I went to a client service conference, like a big conference. Someone had been a speaker, like CEO of this company had been a speaker at a financial conference I was at. And I was like, oh my gosh, his tips are so common sense and like amazing. Like, I want to go to this conference. So I went totally by myself because it wasn't in my industry. Other people didn't know. But there was a breakout session about like selling and marketing to women. And this was in 2019. The stats were that women made 83% of the purchasing decisions, right? And so where most they were talking about advertising and marketing failed was they were still marketing the old school way or to the men, but the women were making the decisions. And they talked about how you would be disruptive and grow fast if you catered to the woman. So after that, I went back and redid my whole discovery process in my financial firm. And that's when I catered it to a woman and the experience showed one. And that's when the men just started opening up and trying to, like, I mean, I would almost get clients first time they're meeting with me and they're like literally giving you their lifetime savings, right? Like, this is really powerful stuff when you tap into it.
Absolutely. I love that.
So I love it. And then the masculine and the feminine, if we circle back to where this conversation started, was giving and receiving. And so, yes, a lot of times I'm working with my clients, I'm like, you're great at giving. So women have been socialized to give and do. I call it the good girl syndrome, right? And the feminine energy is actually resting and receiving. So you can't just rest and receive all the time. But the moment you can see this beautiful circle of like giving and receiving, like I get goosebumps when I talk about it because I think I understood this like in 2020, 2021. I just had this realization during some spiritual work I was doing, and it changed my life because I was like a super giver and I still am, but I also know how to receive now. It's a big difference because you're actually blocking things from coming to you if you're not good at receiving, right?
Oh, absolutely. And that is something I realized, and I think I realized that subconsciously because I also got certified as a yoga teacher at some point. And so one of those things where they always talk about, the receiving, the allowing the flow to happen. And, when you hear that the first time, it doesn't sink in. Does it sink in the second time? Probably not. Do you need a couple of repetitions of that? Yes. And then you need to actually have an experience where that happens. And then it's that aha moment of like, oh, that was easy. It wasn't that hard. And it's something that I have done over and over in my career almost, where, I came from that PhD salary and then I went into corporate. And that was like, I don't know, something Xing my salary. But then at some point in corporate, I just sat down and I was like, I want to double my salary. Like, how can I do that? And within 3, 5 months, I had done it. And so it's these moments where I was like, okay, that worked. Then I left corporate, went into the online world, and I was like, okay, what do I want to do here? How does that work? How can I manifest? How can I support? How can I help others and still create a life that works for my life, works around my family, which is so important for me? And it comes all down to receiving and having that right mindset and also the right energies behind it.
No, I love this so much. And the masculine is more mental and the feminine is more heart centered and like the intuition of your body, like the deep wisdom of your body. And so what's interesting is usually when I have a client that has a block to this, it's because they're being so mental about it. Because like you said, it took a couple of times and then you experienced it. This is not something that's logical. Like understanding this is not logical. You have to experience it. And when you know, it's like done, right? It totally shifts who you are as a person and takes you to that next level. And so, no, I love this conversation because I think it's so important, like you said, to learn to trust in things other than like where our brain and our ego is leading us. And also remembering that they're there to help us survive. Surviving does not equal thriving.
Oh, absolutely. And I think this comes full circle to how I started to create my offers online because it came from the point of, like a lot of people are in the do, the like how, but I need proof. I need to know that it works first. Whereas, that's exactly the part where I want to help my clients create that offer that they can't stop talking about. They're bragging about. They're so passionate about it. Because what I've seen, especially over the last 2 years, is the whole like, people buy something to resell it. Do they feel aligned with it? Well, some people may feel aligned with that, and that's okay. A lot of people don't feel aligned with it because maybe they're extremely good at, I don't know, dog training, at baking. And I have helped a very diverse clients here from like baking to fly fishing to, dog training actually as well. And these are just examples where they already have a passion. They already know something that they're so good at, but they're too afraid, too timid, too shy to actually use that and push that forward as their first product. And I think especially those ones are the ones that work extremely well. And so if you just try to sell something or get something to sell something, it's the wrong energy behind it. And that's where this comes truly full circle, I think.
No, I 100% agree. In fact, it's funny because yesterday I did my Facebook Live. By the way, if you're listening and you're not in my Abundant Business Women group, I go live every week. And this time I gave that keynote. I was kind of like, running on adrenaline. And I was like, I'm going to riff about February today because usually I have pretty structured, like, here's tips. And it's interesting because the energy in 2025 is very open. Like it's the year of the snake. The planets are aligning. Like there's a lot going on energetically on Earth. It's a great time to really tap into what I talked about and what I've been working with my clients on now is who you are now, not who you have been or who you were. And I had this huge aha in my personal life because I'm starting to date again. And I realized like, wow, I have completely different values for what I want in a relationship than I did, 2 years ago. And had I been seeking a relationship out of habit based on my old values, that's not going to work well for me, right? And so I'm just huge on right now is a great time to dig in and see, what are you aligned with? Who are you really now? What matters to you? What do you want? And when you tap into that, like, you're just going to skyrocket. I mean, we're recording this like mid-February. It's not even middle. And I've already had a client hit her annual revenue for the year. And like, that's not everything, annualized. Like, she hit her monthly mark that we're going for. And I was like, hey, are we raising your revenue? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, are we raising it now? And she was like, I always like them to decide and commit, but I was thinking, let's just hold for the quarter so you can get the foundation in place. Cause when you grow quickly, you have to go like put things in place. And she actually came up with that answer herself, because you really have to do what feels right to you. If she told me, no, let's hit the gas pedal, I'll figure it out, I'd be like, okay, let's go. So she decided, okay, second quarter, we're going to bump revenue up again. But I think it's going back to the do. Like, she's been, grinding, like getting new clients in. And I think she just wants to be in the flow for a little bit, which I totally honor. But I love it. What you're talking about, having an offer you love, having a business you love, like, it's so important to the way the world works now.
And I think it's especially important because, I was that person that was in corporate. And I always thought corporate was my place where I would climb the corporate ladder, be that girl, right? And then I hired myself during COVID into an environment that was not so healthy. And I very quickly learned that if I were to stay there, it would literally take me down mentally, probably physically as well. And so when I got fired, that was actually the best thing that could have happened to me. And if I say that now, I can also see that back then it was very hurtful because it's one of those moments that had never happened to me before. And as a high achieving, very driven woman that has a lot of degrees, it was this happened to me. And then I realized, no, I manifested exactly that. Like 4 months before that, I was like, I need to find something else. It's not aligned. I don't want to be here. And the universe was just like, okay, you don't want that? Here, on a silver platter. Fired. There we go. And afterwards, I was like, oh, but now I get to do whatever I want to do. And I really get to align with my values, what brings me joy, what I want to do during the day, and not work on weekends when I could be with my family. And so I think too many people are honestly afraid to take that step because it is a big step. It is an incredibly big step to just say, hey, I'm not going to do what I have done for so many years that I know so well. But if you just go from one position to the next and you know that internally you're still empty, you also know that it's not going to be fulfilling just because you're in a different role. If you have that sensation inside of you and that feeling inside of you that there's more, then you got to go for it at some point. And that's exactly what I love doing, because there are too many people that come home, and I was one of them when I was in corporate. I was exhausted. I was tired. I would come home drained. What my family got was what was left of me. And then on the weekend, you try to recover. Meanwhile, you're never really recovering and you're just doing it again and again. And so now I'm like, I love my week. I love Monday because Monday is the day where I typically don't have meetings and I just decide what I want to do that week. I decide what offers I want to create. I have amazing private clients that I work with and we're expanding their mindset. And it's just, oh, I love it. I love it so much.
That's so funny because I just cleared my Friday afternoon. I do 2 coaching sessions Friday morning because I have my weekly coffees for my small groups, my small group and my membership. And then I do a content creation and then I try to wrap up by noon. But I was doing a personal coaching session for something in my life in the afternoon. And I thought, oh, that's for me. That's self-care. No, it was another freaking Zoom I needed to be on for 90 minutes. And even though I was doing beautiful work and I love my coach, and it was so funny, she brought it up to me and I was going to ask her, but she already felt it. She said, do you want to move this meeting till Monday? And I was like, yes. So now I'll say I'm like you. Like, I'm so excited. Tomorrow, Friday afternoon is my first day that like I'm done at noon. And I can go for a walk. I can I can do whatever the heck I want. And I'm not saying yes to anyone. That is just purely April time. Like, whatever I want to do. If I want to nap, fine. And so I love that. And you said a couple of more things I want to touch on, and then I want to get back to funnels. You shared that it was painful when you lost your job, even though you looked back and now see it as a blessing. I just want to pause and remind everyone listening that growth can be painful like that. And sometimes, even though you know, and your soul's like, yeah, let's go, sometimes you have to grieve the loss. And that's okay. Like, it happened to me in something in my personal life recently where it's like, okay, I'm 100% certain this is the direction I'm going, and I'm leaving this part of my identity or something I thought I wanted behind. And even though I was gung ho to go forward and accept, I was still grieving leaving this behind, right?
Oh,
So,
I totally feel that. Yes.
yeah, you know, and if anything comes up for you to talk about that, please do. Because again, I think for us women, we always have this like natural tendency to have the highlight reel up. And it's okay sometimes when we're just like going through stuff. It doesn't mean that the direction you're going isn't right, but sometimes you have to grieve the thing you're leaving behind at the same time.
I think there's the saying that I actually really like. That's like, when you are growing, it feels like everything is falling apart and you feel like you're at such a low. And I've certainly had that because, that was my identity for more than a decade, right? I was that person. So in order to become this person that I'm now, I had to let go of a lot of that. And this goes a little deeper, I even changed my closet because my corporate clothes, I didn't want to wear them anymore. I was like, I don't need them anymore. It puts me back into that energetic space of, oh, I had to wear this, I had to wear that. Whereas now, sure, I can wear whatever I want, but I don't have to wear certain things that are appropriate for the corporate environment. And I think it goes in cycles. I have this with friends as well. So we have moved several times throughout our marriage, but also in life in general. And I think every time there are friends that you take with you, and there are those that you leave behind. And I think there is a grieving period every time when it comes back to abandonment, unworthiness, all of those feelings that are inside of you that are potentially coming up every time you shift, you change, you evolve into something else, because not everybody is evolving with you. Like some of them, they just want to stay in that place that they're in. And that's okay. Like I respect that. I'm not trying to change you, but if I'm evolving and I'm going there and you're just going here, then maybe we just have coffee and chat about other things, but we're not going towards the same, direction anymore. And that's okay.
Well, and free will is, I mean, that's my number one rule. We were granted free will, right? Who am I to take away someone else's free will and be like, no, you have to go this way with me? Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is where I'm going, and you have to boldly go there. So I love that. Oh my gosh, we'll have to have a whole nother conversation about all of this. This is why we immediately liked each other. Can you tell by listening? So I do want to get back to funnels because I will share with you, I built a very successful company with multiple seven figures of revenue in the financial industry. And I got to seven figures with one means of marketing, which was giving dinner seminars, inviting people via direct mail. And then we would book appointments, right? And then we just got better and better to the point that I would book 75% of the room for like a first appointment. And then after we hit seven figures, I saw that someone I knew had a TV show. And I literally was like, well, if he has a TV show, we can have a TV show. I want one too. So that was like our second form of marketing. Right? But I mean, it's crazy because there's so many shiny objects now and you get distracted. And we all know that you find this one way to market and get new clients and you go deep and you get really good at it. That's how you get successful and you get to seven
Yeah.
figures, eight figures, 9, 10, right? But we have the shiny object syndrome and we're bombarded with ideas. And so anyway, going back to my story, when I switched to the coaching industry and then suddenly I was like, oh, there's all these fun things I can do online. And I mean, I can't tell you how much money I've wasted, how much time I've wasted, how much aggravation. So this is one of my favorite topics to help listeners and also my clients and anyone who will listen to me about. Keep it simple to begin with, because no matter how big a check you can write, no matter who you can hire, there's always a learning curve. So keep it simple so that you're paying smaller tuition, if that makes sense, because you have to go through the learning process. And you and I probably disagree on this topic, but I almost feel it takes a good year to really understand your target audience and your offer, because a lot of times we have no clue.
I mean, maybe I don't want to say a year, but
Yeah.
half a year is, I think, a reasonable time. Also because you're still evolving. I mean, let's be real. If you are literally just starting out, and I could not agree more with you on the systems and the softwares and all the shiny objects out there. Because when I started, I was exactly that person. I was like, okay, what do I need? Where do I get it? What does it cost? How am I going to do that? How do I going to learn that? Do I do it all myself? Do I hire it out to someone else? Like, but if I then hire it out, then I don't understand how it works. And so, right, you already feel all of these thoughts going on in the brain of someone that's just starting. And I started out and I looked into different softwares that I could use. And there are certain ones that cost a little bit. There's some that cost a lot. There's some that are done for you. There are some that are done with you. And then there's some that are free. And I was like, well, I'm starting out, lost my job. Sure, there's money in the bank, but I don't want to just put that somewhere if I don't know where it goes and I don't understand it yet. So I thought, let's learn this free software first because that seemed realistic to me. I was like, why don't I understand how this works? And then, sure, I can outsource it. And I got really, really passionate about it because over these years, I have seen too many people start and stop. So I used to have a weekly live. It was called the Diary of an Affiliate Marketer because I started heavily in affiliate marketing. And so every week I would interview people. And out of these, I did that for almost a year. Out of these, let's say 50 interviews, I would say almost 90% are not doing what they're doing anymore. And that is just sad. And so at some point I was like, why? So I actually followed up with them and I was like, what's going on? Why did you stop? And of course, for some, it's live. There's something else going on. But they were like, oh, there are all these softwares that I invested in and they're just eating me alive and not making enough. And that is not something I want to hear ever. Of course, the mindset goes into it as well. But I came up with this software, or I'm supporting a free software, and I came up with a way to build your funnel there. And I actually created a plug and play funnel where you can still stay on the free one for as long as you want. But you don't need ClickFunnels, ManyChat, Aweber, StanStore, and pay $100 to $500 every month just to be out there. You can literally do that with one software that has a really good CRM, and you learn how to do that. So I'm extremely passionate about that because I think there are too many marketers that just say, oh yeah, use StanStore, have my 14-day free trial. Well, of course they say that because after that they're an affiliate and then you're paying them every month and that's how they get, happy and wealthy. But the one that's starting doesn't understand that yet. And that's where I think that's a little shady.
Yeah, no, I love this idea of keeping it simple. And I just want to share something I experienced. So I, from the beginning, delegated this out, hired out, and then it just kept biting me in the butt. So starting last fall, I was like, you know what? I'm going to bring people in. I'm going to get the coaching on this. I'm going to actually learn this. I'm going to kind of micromanage this process for a little bit. But what happened was it burned me out because I'm not good at that stuff, right? I just want to tell people really know who you are because I know a lot of women at the beginning think, oh, let me do this all myself. Let me figure out my website, etc. I mean, you can still start simple, like getting a tech savvy VA or, hire a local college student. They're better at this than we are. So I just don't want women to think I have to do this because some of us aren't cut out to do it. There are many things I'm very good at and people pay me a lot of money for, and that is not one of them, right? So I am now repairing myself from the burnout of being so hands-on with building that funnel. But that's why it attracted me to you, besides just loving you, this concept of this very simplified funnel, right? Because I do want to go play and I do want to say, you know what, I'm having a speech. Let's do a funnel for this afterwards so I can give a free resource and not have to have this complicated team and project management and all of this to build these funnels. So what do you recommend? You kind of recommended start really small, start free, or they could pay a little bit and get your system, which I purchased just to play with because as you know, well, I hope as my listeners know, if I'm suggesting anything to you, I've tried it and tested it out because I'm not going to do it just because Connie's my friend. So I actually purchased her program, went and played around, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. Because, technology is a huge challenge for my clients. They're 40s and 50s. They're women that were in corporate like you and I, and that's not their forte. Technology is very frustrating to them. And so I'm always looking for simplified solutions for that. So let's go back to the beginning. How do you help your clients start with their offers and how do you help them start with a simple funnel?
First of all, I love that you purchased that and that you also played with it because I totally agree. I typically don't just recommend something that I'm not using because how do I know that it's good? I want to make sure that whatever I recommend is something, it comes down to the know, love, and trust, right? Those three. So if I don't know it, I don't love it, I don't trust it, why would I recommend it to someone else? Because then I don't do them right. So yes, the way I help with my client is that they will come to me and they typically have already something that they're really good at. And I have two examples that I always love to bring. So Amanda, Tiny Bakery, she's in Idaho. And she came to me probably over a year ago at this point. And she said, I have this bakery. I'm really good, but our city, our little town is tiny and it's very limited in what I can do. And, you don't eat a cake every day. But she was really good. Everybody raved about her baking, her frosting, so whatnot. So she came to me and said, hey, is there any way that I can bring this online? I've seen on Facebook, there's so many groups with baking and something I can do. I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's put something together. So we created her first offer. And the way I would always set it up is you want to have a freebie and you want to have a paid offer just to start out. If this is something your audience already knows, we don't need to go into detail, but your freebie is something where you say, oh, the 5 best ways to make a delicious frosting or whatever that might be. So they grab it, someone grabs it, they get it for free. And then you have an upsell, and that upsell could be, hey, and here's my grandma's recipe that's actually the most amazing in the universe, and you want it for your next dinner party or something like that. You price that between, depends on what's in there, how detailed it is, 17, 27, 57, 97. And that is then your first digital product. And exactly that way, freebie, thank you page, first digital product, thank you page, is something that I have in that funnel that I pre-created for you, for someone else. So they don't need to be tech savvy. I mean, I literally have little videos in there that show you, okay, this is where you plug it in. This is how you customize it. This is how you do your email automation. And you can honestly have this running within 4 days, just the funnel part. I mean, sometimes I say creating the digital product can take a little longer because you want to, pour out, pour in, pour out of your cup and see, what do I want to put there? Let's be creative. I use Canva for that. But yeah, those would be the starter points of, like this is your digital offer. This is how you can implement it. This is how you put it online. And then you create content around it. And she has sold over 100K in that. And Ryan does fly fishing. I have absolutely no clue about fly fishing, but he does. And he had the same idea, I want to put something out there. I've heard that I can monetize my hobby, that you can, let's do that. And this was nice because his digital product was, I think, 47. And then he added a ton of affiliate links into it. Because affiliate links, like, hey, you need tools for these things, right? For baking, you need a mixer or something. But, you need to buy those somewhere, create an affiliate link around it, put that in your product, recommend it because he's literally using them and he knows them. And right now you have already multiple streams of income that you created from something around your hobby. And then from there, it grows. You can change it as you move forward. You can update it. You stay in contact with your customers because you have their email addresses. You do email marketing now, and it just grows.
I love that so much. So I'm trying to pull something up on my phone as we're talking because it's so funny you're talking about the affiliate links because I give free resources in my newsletter every week. And sometimes they're mine and sometimes they're just things I enjoy. And so you're the second person this week who has mentioned affiliate links because I'm in a group, Visible Women, which, by the way, if you're looking for a low price membership, highly recommend. Melissa Barker, who's running it, is sharing phenomenal ideas with us. And one was this idea of the affiliate link. And so that's like my assignment for the day to go to Amazon and apply to be an affiliate. And I'm like, I'm recommending stuff all the time. Like, this is a no-brainer. Why wouldn't I do this? And then you just disclose I have an affiliate link, right? Because I'm genuinely doing it just to recommend to my clients, but why wouldn't you have that affiliate link?
It's nice that you have that option because, and I always tell people, with affiliate marketing, there are differences, right? There's low ticket affiliate marketing, there's high ticket affiliate marketing. Amazon is low ticket. The percentage you get is between 2, 4, 5, up to 10, I think. But then there's high ticket affiliate marketing where you get 40%, 50, 60% even. And those are also higher ticket items, but it's a way of supporting each other, helping each other, getting a product out there. And there's literally an affiliate link on that funnel builder. And, April has it as well.
Yeah, which I became an affiliate. In fact, we need to add that to our resources page in the Vixen Founders Collective. That'll be done this week. I love it. In fact, I'd love you to come speak to the Vixen Founders Collective so you can walk them through that. We have about one a quarter or one a month. So whenever I have a speaking engagement, I make sure we still have someone in there. So I love it. All right, Conny. Well, I want to honor your time because I know you have a full schedule today and you and I could talk forever. So If you want to check it out, in the show notes, we have the links for Connie's program. Check it out. Also, if you have not done so, go to vixengathering.com/podcast and hit subscribe. And guess what? All of these amazing resources show up in your inbox every week. And my newsletter shows up too with the amazing resources that I source for you. So Tuesday is our long form newsletter with that day's episode. And on Thursday, we drop the Thursday episode. So you can get all the amazing resources, follow our guests like Connie, just simple. It's just at your fingertips. So check that out. Again, vixengathering.com/podcast. Awesome. So Connie, we will drop your link here and all of your contact info. But in case we have a guest, driving or doing something and they can't get to that now, what is the best way for anyone listening to connect with you or to go deeper in what you offer?
Absolutely. The best way to connect with me, I would say it's Instagram and Facebook. You can find me at Work with Conny, all spelled together, and Conny is Conny at the end. I always get the question there, but that is how us Germans do that. You can connect with me there. You can look at my website, which is www.work and then just the W, Conny.com. You can always check out one of my free calls. I do these 15-minute intro calls. And the reason I do that is because I love connecting with people just like April and I do. It's a way to just see, hey, what is it that you're interested in? How can I support you? And then from there, you are welcome into my world. If you need help with your unique offer creation, with your funnels, or if you want to change your mindset towards a wealth mindset and really grow that way.
I love it. Thank you so much, Connie. So I want to pivot to Connie as the woman. We already talked about feminine and masculine energy, and it's one of my favorite topics. So I love to ask, when do you feel like what activities or what times do you feel like you've really stepped into your feminine flow?
Good one. My feminine flow. I think there were several moments. One of them was when I just decided, hey, I want to double my salary, and I just made it happen. That was just something where it was this knowing, and it's weird. It just came over me because I had a very reasonable salary already, and I just had that knowing one day that I was like, you know what, I want to double that. I just put my entire energy behind it, and it happened. And similar to my online business as well, I started out with certain things, and there's a trial and error phase, I would say, in the beginning where like, who am I now? What do I want to do? And then at some point, once again, I just felt like, I want to do more one-on-one work, which I didn't do in the beginning, not at all. I just didn't do it because I had that feeling of like, oh, I'm not good enough. I shouldn't. I was like, what am I talking about? Like, I know all that stuff. I can share all that stuff, especially with my background in teaching yoga and understanding your energies and helping people and just moving through these hard feelings and these hard moments in your life. And I was like, I have that knowledge. I have the marketing knowledge. I have the online MBA. I have that doctorate degree. Like, I mean, I have plenty of education to go off of, and yet I felt like I wasn't worth it. So yes, I just decided. It's all in the deciding. This is exactly where I want to go. I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there because there are so many shiny objects that take me everywhere from, oh, should I do e-commerce? Should I do a little retreat? Should I do this? Should I do that? It's like, no, this just here for now. And if this after a while doesn't feel good anymore, then we go here and then we go there.
Yes.
And we just move on. And there is no failure. I think I don't accept that word anymore. There is no failure. It's just a stepping stone in the next version of Connie. And we're going there. It's happening.
I like to always say there's success or lessons. Either you're winning or you're learning. That's the two options. Connie, so what color would you say your feminine essence is?
I think it's orange. What does that tell you about me?
I like it. You're bright and fiery.
Yeah, I'm an Aries, so I think I have a lot of that energy, that fire in me once in a while. I try to keep it a check most of the time, but it's definitely in there. What's your color?
So it's interesting. I shared this a while ago. Mine is magenta, more purple than pink, like a deep, deep magenta. I don't know. I feel like I'm stepping more into my queen era, like my calmer era. It hasn't fully formed for me, so TBD.
I feel like, looking at the chakras, I'm very much, like gut-centered, feeling-centered.
I'm very heart-centered, and also the throat. Like, communication's really important to me. So, like, yeah, for me, it's this region, which is interesting because that's also often your most sensitive region. Like, I have my body very balanced now in my energy, but I used to get sore throats a lot, and I used to have a lot of throat issues. But now I've, like, balanced that, and I don't get it anymore.
Good.
Love it. Well, thank you so much, Connie. I wish we could continue chatting, but time is of the essence. So, as we're wrapping up, what's your final message that you'd like to share with our listeners today?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I think final message is really trust your gut. Trust that
Yeah.
feeling that if you feel like there's more for you, then what's holding you back? Because you can always say, oh, I will do it tomorrow. I will do it next week. I will do it when the time is right, when I'm in that right environment, when I have that amount of money in the bank. And that's not it. Like, it's just, if you have that, you go for it now. Go for it now, because the regret that comes from not doing it will stay with you for much, much longer than the actual action of doing it and just seeing where it goes, because you don't know how beautiful it can be and how amazing it can be. I invested in my first mentor with 10K when I had no money in the bank. And it also pushed me to a point where I was like, I'm going to put myself and my 100% behind it, because otherwise I would always say, oh, what if? What if I would have done that? What if I would have invested in myself? What if I would have started that business? What if I would have followed that passion? And all these what ifs are like the little browser tabs on the top of your computer that are just like going on, taking away the energy. So if you feel like there's more and you want to do more, go for it and don't stop.
I love that. It's funny because, yeah, my first big like mastermind, and this was like in 2014. So this was expensive, was 24,000. And same, I didn't necessarily have the money in the bank and you had to apply. So I was like, no way they're going to accept me. And I was scared to death. And I was like, okay, if I'm scared, I need to apply. And it was a 2-year mastermind. And I met the most amazing people. And it was such a great experience. And, like, we had to give presentations the first time, and same thing, I didn't think I was, like, worthy to join this group. I won, like, best presentation, like, the very first time, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing," like
And it gives you that boost too. That like, I can do it.
Yes.
Like, I can do this.
Yeah, so I love that, and I find a lot of times women are a little more cautious and savvy about how they spend their money, but sometimes when you're feeling called to do something, just do it. It always pays off. Like you said, be focused and make sure you get your return on investment because it's an investment in yourself. It's not a cost. So I love that so much. All right, Connie. Well, I'm going to wrap us up here. And as everyone knows, I always say the world needs more love. How can you show up more loving today? I think this week I'm feeling to say show up more loving by honoring yourself, because when you honor yourself and your trajectory and what you really want at this point in your life, you just show up as a better human being and it impacts everyone around you. So honor, love, and respect who you are now, not who you used to be, not who you want to be, but be very grounded in who you are now. And like Connie said, if you're feeling that pull, do it, because waves are real things. And if you miss that wave, it might be a few more years till another one comes along. So sometimes time is of the essence and you don't even realize it. So go love yourself, and honor what you want now. Thank you, Connie. It's been a pleasure as always.
Thank you. Likewise.
Oh, and I just want to mention, I know we are speaking at each other's summits. So mine is the last week of March and yours is in April. Do you want to give us the dates?
Absolutely. So the summit will be called Freedom Launchpad Summit. It will be a pre-recorded summit, so not live. That way, every time zone can easily access it. It will be from April 28th for that entire week, with 3 recordings each day being released. And I hope to see some of you there.
So again, details below, or sign up and get it delivered in your inbox. And if you're curious about our summit, just shoot me a DM or listen, because it will be launching soon. All right, everyone, have a great day. Connie, thank you so much. And everyone who's listening, I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks again for listening to the podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to hit subscribe so future episodes are automatically downloaded directly to your device. And if you want access to today's show notes, including links to all the resources we mentioned, visit vixengathering.com/podcast. Thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you next week for another episode of The Vixen Voice.